All right, we should be good to go. Let's give it a minute or two, see if anybody rolls in.
All right.
There might have been an ever so slight echo. I'm not sure. Like a delayed one, but we'll see.
Need to go with the headphones.
All right, we got a couple people rolling in. What's up, PV Dad? How's the audio? Somebody go ahead and Brad, just say something.
Yeah. Yeah, thanks for having us on tonight, Rich.
Yeah, both sound good. Sounds good. All right, so here we are tonight. We're with Brad and Sarah Whitaker from Whitty Outdoors. They do custom crankbaits, which we're going to dig into a little bit, and we'll get into that. But let's just kind of talk more general, kind of a little background about how you got into fishing, just high level. And then as more people get in, then we'll dig into the crankbaits a little bit more.
Yeah. Fishing, I mean, I started as a kid. Always out fishing, a lot of pan fishing and stuff as a kid. And then probably as I got to maybe 11 years old or so, started doing more bass fishing and everything. Kind of fell in love with it a lot more. And bass fishing, it seems like ever since. Started fishing a few tournaments when I was like 18, 19 years old. And just kind of kept growing with it, fishing team tournaments and everything all along. And I fished a few BFLs, not too many, kind of here and there. But mainly do a lot of team tournament fishing. And, back when Sarah and I got married, I got her into bass fishing and got her into fishing team tournaments with us even. So,
yeah, I thought fishing was like, you know, from a bank, you read a book, like wait for the, you know, bobber to go or whatever. And yeah, he taught me like
that is fishing. I was like, but that's not really the fishing I do. I was like,
right. There's a spectrum of fishing, and there's this, and then there's this over here. So.
Yeah, she's seen the full spectrum of it now.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, great. See people rolling in. Hi, everybody. So you're in Ohio, right? What part of Ohio?
Yes, sir. Kind of southwestern Ohio. We're right in between Cincinnati and Dayton.
Okay, so what are like the home waters, or where do you guys where are you fishing?
Most of our
when I think of Ohio, if you fall in love with bass fishing in Ohio, you really love bass fishing because the fishing in a lot of Ohio, especially on tournaments, is not great.
We're not very smart. We're we grind it out. I mean, you gotta love the tough fishing. We fish a lot down on the Ohio River, if that's something. Actually, Bassmaster did the look back there of the classic that Nixon won. There, that's the pool we fish. We fish out of Tanner's Creek, which is I think it's about 15 miles farther down the river from Cincinnati. So I fished that pool a lot. I actually saw some areas that were very, very similar still from 82 even. I was like, wow. But
nice.
I mean,
about the closest thing that I've fished to that is the Illinois River in Peoria, which I don't know how similar they are, but I imagine they're both tough, and I would imagine there's some similarities. So,
yeah, I mean, a lot of our spring tournaments on the Ohio River, you're looking at like maybe 13 pounds. And then when you get into summertime, it can go down to 8 pounds for team tournaments, not just like BFL. You know, that's higher level team tournaments even.
Like 4 3/4 pound limits, and
I have weighed in 4.5 pound limits on the Ohio River. I think actually me and a buddy of mine have cashed before on a 4.5 pound limit in a team tournament. It gets tough some years.
That's one thing up here in Minnesota. Most of the people that I fish against and that I fish around here are very spoiled, right? Like tournaments around here, if you don't catch a limit and if you're not culling most of the day, you're probably getting your teeth kicked in. Like we had, so I fished a lot of Bass Nation stuff, and we would do the Northern Divisional. So it would go like Ohio, Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, South Dakota, Minnesota, Wisconsin, right? So kind of a gamut of fisheries, and everybody would kind of take their turns. And when people would come to Minnesota, they'd be like, oh my God, this is the best fishing. Like we'd have like 108 guys in a tournament, and 106 of them would have 3 days of limits. Like,
nice.
I mean, like just wrecking them. And then on the flip side, I've gone to some of those places like Indiana in late August, early September. And I think I weighed 7 fish in 3 days and made it to the Bassmaster Nation Championship. Made it on, moved on from Minnesota and finished in the top 5 in the tournament, weighing 7 fish in 3 days. So,
yeah.
And actually, it was a little weird. We just had our state tournament for Bass Nation, and I think I only weighed 8 fish in 2 days, and I took second. And I think a lot of that I attribute to like guys up here aren't used to grinders. I've fished enough down south and fished these regional tournaments to know what it is to be in a grinder. Probably not to the level you guys do, but enough that I am mentally prepared when it's happening to know that I'm fishing for just a few bites a day, and that's okay.
Yeah.
You can,
Yeah, there's plenty of times in Ohio, especially like I said, fishing the Ohio River a lot. You get into those summertime, you get past May and start into June and July, and especially after that, you're working hard to get 5 keepers a lot of times.
Right. So have you always been a crankbait guy, or has that always been your thing, or like what kind of like what's your kind of your passion when it comes to it, or what are you good at when you're fishing, or what do you like to do? Like,
I'd say just straight power fishing, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Throw a spinnerbait, a crankbait, and Texas rig, some flipping around pitching, and buzzbait, some type of top water. Fishing the areas we do, we don't get into a lot of the whopper plopper very much, just because we fish a lot of lay downs and stuff like that. So really a buzzbait takes care of a lot of my top water stuff, or throw even like a waken crankbait, one that just barely dives under the surface. And then, a lot of Squarebills and a lot of spinnerbaits thrown in the lay down cover, lay down logs and everything like that. So kind of always been a power fisherman. I really got the spinning rod unless it's desperate need or I'm somewhere outside of this region of Ohio.
Sure. What's why did you start a tackle company? Because like most people say, the best way to make a small fortune in fishing is to start with a bigger fortune. So what led you down the path of custom crankbaits? So like how did it happen? Then we'll get into like what they are and what they do.
That is all Sarah's fault right here is what it was. We was fishing down on the Ohio River, and we put out a brand new shallow running crankbait on her rod for her. She makes one cast with it, hits a rock, breaks the bill off. Reels it in. It's like, oh, well, okay, we'll put another one on. And 3 months later, I looked at her and I said, do you remember whenever you broke that one crankbait down on the Ohio River? She goes, no. I said, well, it kind of hasn't stopped running through my mind. I was like, I think we should start a crankbait business. I was like, I think we can make something better, something different that other people don't have out there right now. And I was like, I haven't stopped thinking about it since you broke it that day 3 months ago.
My fault.
That's crazy.
It was a good mistake or a good accident.
So that got you thinking about crankbaits, but then why did that like how did that become the crankbaits that you, or what kind of more explain the process? Like, so that's sure you got a broken bill and we've all broke bills on crankbaits. So
yeah.
Let's take it a step farther. Like,
I have made them before. My neighbor growing up as a kid, back through my teenage years, I would go bass fishing with my neighbor a lot, and he made some handmade wooden crankbaits. And so he kind of taught me some of the process and everything. So I kind of knew some of how things work and everything, the tricks of kind of making them and stuff to look for. And so I wasn't really starting out from scratch. I've always made my own spinnerbaits, buzzbaits, and a lot of my own jigs even. So I'm kind of used to the do-it-yourself thing. And you know, I've used a lot of other handmade balsa baits in the past and kind of know what the good parts are of them, but also kind of what the downfalls are of them. And I just figured, you know, if we're going to do this, I want to make something a little bit different than what's out there and try to make something better than what I think is out there right now.
Sure.
And, yeah, that kind of led us down the path, and a lot of testing out of different materials because I didn't want to go the balsa route.
Right.
Just because, you know, there's so many other people out there making them with balsa. I wanted to see if I could find something a little bit outside of the box.
Because there's a lot of balsa crankbaits, right? Like you got, you know, like Zoom WECs, you've got black labels. I mean, like custom balsa baits have been around for years, all the way back to, I mean, basically the Bagleys, right? That's kind of like probably the most popular ones that were kind of widely accepted. And obviously some of their shortcomings is they're not super durable, right? Inconsistencies, right? Like that's kind of the beauty and the drawback of a balsa is that, you know, they don't all run the same, which is good because when you get one that really catches fish, really and some of them, like someone like, I know the Reaction Innovations Method Crank. I don't know if you ever were.
I've heard, yeah, I haven't ever used that one, but I know I saw you talking about it.
Great crankbait, but they had issues where like you'd have to buy, you know, basically half the ones you buy, you could just throw in the trash. Like they just switched it out and wouldn't run and wouldn't track no matter how much you tuned them, right? So, so you went a different route. Why don't you kind of tell us, you know, how your baits are constructed or how you went down that path and why?
I went down the path because I was looking again for something a little bit different than what was out there. I wanted to find something that was going to be stronger than balsa. That was kind of a big thing. But I wanted something that was still as lightweight because that's where you get that extra action and everything that, you know, balsa is known for. It's great for that. And I kept playing around with different materials and I kind of had a couple other ideas. Like I wanted a weight transfer system inside of the bait. After I was finally happy with the material that we started using, I started thinking about, you know, what was the key things I wanted in that bait now. Unlike a lot of the other balsa makers, they make them, you know, the full plug all at one time. We've actually got to make ours half at a time because we do have that weight transfer system in there. And we also run a through wire construction that runs from the nose of the bait down to the belly hook and then out to the tail. So that's all one piece of wire that runs throughout the entire bait.
Which is nice when you hook a big one for sure. Like that's.
You hook a big one, you hang on to something on the bottom. I mean, you know, we fish the Ohio River and a couple other rivers. You never know what kind of stuff you're going to get hung on to. The other day, I hung on to like a shirt, you know, and you can't knock that thing off of it. I took my big fiberglass pole and pried the thing up and got my bait out of it. So, but yeah, it's not going to pull out. You're not going to lose a hook hanger. I mean, at the very worst, if you ever do catastrophically break the bait in half, you're still bringing back whatever is on it.
Right. So yeah, you could crack the body off, but your hooks and your harness will still be coming to the hook.
All still hooked together. Exactly.
So like, yeah, you could hook up bridge piling, but you're going to break your line or whatever.
Sarah never hooked the bridge piling, but she's hit quite a few. Whenever we was doing all the durability testing, it was I saw her send one right into a bridge piling with a spinning rod. I was like, you know, probably could have slowed that down right before it hit it, but she reeled it in. It looked great. I was like, hey, all right.
They're definitely durable. I've tested it. Rocks, bridges.
Yeah.
I know.
So Sarah leads R&D, right? And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah, when we was testing the durability stuff, that was Sarah's lead on that one. It was funny. Actually, what came about the video we put up on our Facebook and Instagram about hitting the bait with a softball bat. Right. That came about talking to Bill Lowen at one of the shows here this winter, and I was telling him, he goes, "Well, how did you figure out, you know, what material you was going to use and everything like that?" I was like, honestly, I said we was hitting some of the blocks of material with a bat to see if it would hold up or not.
There was a lot of trial, you know, stuff, and you know, he's very particular. Like he said, like he's fished forever. He knows what he wants. we know what the best parts of certain lures are. And so that's what we were looking for. And that's, you know, we kind of took a bunch of the really awesome things about different baits and put them all in one and made a super bait. So.
Yeah, when I was actually designing the bait, you know, we got a few other very popular balsa makers right here in our area, guys that I've used their baits for a long time. And then also I pulled out kind of some of the standard square bill baits, you know, the 1.5 baits and stuff like that, and kind of had them all laid out on the table and just started kind of brainstorming, you know, what I wanted out of each one of those to put in the one bait that I wanted to start making and where we wanted to start with.
So basically it's a custom blend. We're going to try to pull up this video. I'm going to get crazy here. I'm going to try to pull up this video. Of
all right.
Oh, I didn't really want to. So there it is, like you cracking. So you had it on a free spool, so it would like just fly.
Yeah, we put it on a spinning rod. Actually, Bill,
there you go.
Idea. Yeah, use a mouse over here. Bill Lowen, that's on here. But yeah, Bill Lowen gave me that idea when I was telling him about how we was testing out some of the materials as I was talking with him. Because, you know, you need to get out on the boat, put the bait on a rod, hit it with a bat out into the water, and then reel it in. So we finally had a nice day and was able to kind of shoot that video we've been waiting to do since like January.
All right, and so the next one, the trick is you're going to need to catch a fish.
That would be awesome if I could do that. I know a few places it might be possible, but I don't know, that's asking a lot too. So
Awesome.
We are in Ohio. So.
Yeah. So you need to come up to like Minnesota or go up to like Champlain or somewhere where it's a little more like shooting fish in the barrel. And then Sycamore Outdoors is impressed with your left-handed swing. So I mean, did you play ball in the day or what's
I still play softball. I still play a couple softball, a couple nights a week normally. I am the oddball. I bat left-handed, do everything else right-handed.
Okay.
Talent. His talent goes way beyond making lures.
So it's a custom resin. So probably not way different than like maybe some of the like custom glide baits and maybe like some of the resins like somebody like Tater Hog would use. I mean, obviously you have your own blend and you have your own buoyancy, but probably some of those high-end swim baits, you're probably doing some things. You're not obviously going to give me the secrets of but it's something along those lines that some of these high-end swim bait makers, and you're putting in a square bill. Is that
a lot of it's like a polyurethane type material.
Sure.
It is. We just call it a composite. I mean, I don't know all the specifics on that material, but yeah, it's 100% waterproof. The material is. So if you ever do, you know, crack that clear coat or whatever, the bait's not going to take on water. The difference versus your wood baits, you always got to keep your clear fingernail polish handy, and you know, patch up those precious wooden baits anytime you put a little nick ding or whatever.
But it still has a knocker in it. Like it's still
it's
not a completely solid bait. It's not like there is still chambers in it.
There is a chamber in there. There's 2 chambers in there. Yeah, we did that for the weight transfer.
We haven't even shown a bait yet, but but I've got a couple of them. One's in a package and one's on actually my rod. So what? I guess obviously you settled in. What I think you told, like, you want to recreate the float and the buoyancy and the bounce back of balsa with this. I mean, like, how did that process go? And do you feel like you achieved that, or what were you really aiming to do with the first design?
The material is the same density as a balsa wood, so that's where the buoyancy and everything comes from, is the material's density. Just like balsa wood is a really light, not very dense wood, this material is kind of the same thing. It's a very light, but yet with it being the type of composite that it is, it's also considered a closed cell, so it doesn't absorb any water into those voids or whatever it is in that material.
So basically, when you were doing your mad scientist resin development, you know, if you had two ounces of, you know, or two cubic inches of balsa, your 2 cubic inches of resin, and that was kind of your target to get.
Weighs very much the same, yeah. Okay. It's right there in that ballpark.
It makes sense. I mean, it's super simple, but it makes a ton of sense now that you explain it that way. That like,
Yeah,
that's how you're getting the same reaction and the same buoyancy that you would get out of balsa.
Yeah, I looked up what the density is of balsa wood per cubic foot. You can find that information out online, the different densities and everything, and then kind of started my material search, looking around with everything I could find that gave me that same information.
Yeah, that's interesting. So, and obviously you could just take and weigh a chunk of balsa, right, and then compare as well. So, so you feel like the action, like, so I guess, is there anything to the chambers inside other than the sound, or do they act in casting, or like?
Yeah, they help in casting. I made one a lot longer. That way it lets the tungsten weight we put inside of there. We use tungsten for the weighting of it. That way you can get that nice, very dense, just like we all use tungsten sinkers for that nice weighting capacity. Well, I did the same thing inside of the bait. I used the tungsten weight in there. That way it keeps the size small. I can keep the chamber fairly small. And then with that chamber in there, it allows that weight to roll from the belly back to the tail of it whenever you're casting. So it helps transfer that weight, kind of helps from the helicoptering issues and stuff that you get with a lot of crankbaits when you don't have the weighting in there. And then also the one chamber gives it that one knocker rattle too at the same time.
Yeah, it's subtle. It's got a nice thud. Like it's not loud, but it's got a nice.
Yeah, it's not the loud tick that you're used to with the plastic injection molded, hard plastic crankbaits that you typically get. Mass-produced crankbaits out of the store. Just with that material in there, it kind of gives it, like you said, it's more of a thud than it is a tick.
It's unique too, not just what we're not. They're not used to hearing it either, so they're kind of curious and like, let me check.
That's 100% right. When you're fishing, highly pressured waters like you guys are, right? Like if everybody's throwing a KVD 1.5 or everybody's throwing whatever, just having that slightly different frequency is a way to get bites. So there's a couple questions. Sycamore Outdoors wants to know, how long was the search process? And so when you just decided to start developing this bait to when you created your first bait, how long was that process?
Probably 8 months to a year.
That's not bad, honestly. It's a long time, but that's not crazy for lure development. Yeah. I don't think, especially for your first one, right? You've tinkered, but to really do your first own, that seems really. If you can get that in a year, that's cool. And then when you've come out with a couple other variations, did it go faster for the next rounds, or?
Yes and no. I've actually got got a couple of the flat sides right here. Even the flat sides, I've even got a couple of my first prototypes of it, and then the bait here too. So on our flat-sided bait, it is the same profile as the round bait. So this shape right here around the outside of the body is the same.
Right.
Is my first revision of it there was completely flat. The problem was when I made this first revision, I broke a couple of them, and I was kind of aggravated about that. I broke it just smacking it on the water. So I made a clearing the changes.
Clearing the leaves, you're like, yeah.
Yeah, well, you got to test stuff out, see how strong it is. I know when you do that to other balsa baits, you break them too. But I'm like, again, wanted to do something a little bit different. So the finished design ends up being a little bit more tapered. It's a little bit thicker there in the belly, but yet a little bit skinnier in the back. Still the same profile, but just the actual shape of it there, shape of that body is a little.
So was the trick there, you're just getting a little better connection point on the lip. You're giving yourself a little more material where the lip comes in. A little more
meat. Yep, yeah. A little more meat in there. And then with that one, I went through a lot of different bill angle changes, bill shape changes. I probably tried at least 10 different bill shapes that I made at different lengths and then different angles of each one of those bills before I finally settled in on something I was happy with.
Yeah. But, yeah, Gabe, you haven't missed. We haven't even talked about where they're made and where they're sold yet. So we're getting there. You haven't missed it yet. Somebody wanted to know, do you have any example of the wire harness or one that's split apart to see that?
I don't have a wire harness. Oh, wait. No, I don't have a wire harness here in the room with me, but right there is essentially the kind of the inside of the bait there.
Come a little closer there. There you go.
You can see it there, but
so there you can see the 2 chambers. Yep. Okay.
yep.
And
And then, like I said, we kind of start with a half there and put the wire harness inside and the weights inside and glue them together and let that sit for a day or so, and then trim all the excess glue and everything up and prime them and start the painting process.
And so we'll kind of go down this path, right? So these are all handmade by you guys, right? In your garage, home, basement, right?
Barn. Yeah.
In the USA, handmade in the USA. So, and I think it might surprise people because I know your clear coat takes a while. Yeah. Obviously, you're doing it in batches, but when you start from the pouring of the half blanks, right, in your molds to a finished bait that you can sell, how many days is that?
It is probably about a month or so.
That's nuts.
We're actually not pouring these in a mold either. We're cutting all these. So.
Oh, you're cutting them like a CNC type thing? Okay.
Yeah, we get them in big blocks of material, and we end up cutting it all the way down to the final shape. So.
Okay, so you start with a block of resin, and then you're cutting them on a CNC type table, or something of that nature. Yeah. And then, so then that begins the process of laminating them together with the harness, and then you got to trim them. And then there's probably a priming step.
Yep.
Painting, and then you have a really long clear coat. Was it sit for a week or something? So it really
about 2 weeks.
2 weeks for the clear coat. So
that's what this says. It says it takes 2 weeks to fully cure. So I typically dip them and let them hang for about a week, and then clean up the excess clear coat around the eyes and everything, and then let them hang the next week too, before I get a chance to. Because after they're clear coated, then we go ahead and cut the bill slot in and epoxy the bills in.
So I haven't got the fish a ton, so I can't say that I fished it a ton. But there's the spring craw, but it still looks darn near brand new. Like I don't even see any hook rash on it, and I probably fished it 3 different times. And one time was in the winter, like literally just dragging it through the rocks. And the last time out, I actually caught some fish on it. And like so far, I mean, it looks really good. Like typically, that's got to hold up better than just about any clear coat or paint job out there. I mean, what's your experience, or what do people say? That obviously there's people that have used these a lot more than I have and you have. Like what does that 2 week cure time get you compared to like the average crankbait people are buying?
Honestly, I'm not sure. It's just kind of the recommendations for the material for the clear coat that we use. So I just kind of let it hang for 2 weeks and let it fully cure. And a lot of times I'll even let it, kind of air out for another week after that even.
I mean, you've got some baits that obviously you've had for a long time that you've caught a lot of, like, what is the shape of those? Do you have any like game worn ones you can show them that have caught like dozens of fish?
Yeah, actually, I don't remember if I grabbed that one or not. Let me see here. Oh, I didn't grab yours from the boat, Sarah. I do have one that has been through about everything for 2 years straight. And unfortunately, I re-cleared it again. And I wished I never would have re-cleared it again. And only to keep showing how much wear one bait can take.
Right.
One of my first ones, and the paint job really isn't all that good. I've used this one quite a bit. And you start getting a little bit of hook rash there underneath. It's got a couple of little nicks and stuff right in there. But yeah, this was kind of one of the first ones that I really made. I didn't end up, this one has a little steeper bill angle, and it's kind of what got me to making the -1 version that we have out now, that we just came out with here over the winter, was to kind of get something that would give me the same action as that one. But yeah, that one has a little bit of hook rash and stuff in it. I mean, it will start showing some. The good thing is with the material, you don't have to worry about patching it right away, just because it's not going to soak in anything.
You wouldn't have to patch it at all if you didn't want.
Yeah.
Because it's white underneath, right? So like when you wear through, you're gonna get white, right? So especially on a shad bait, you're not really gonna even know like when you start to wear.
Exactly. Yeah, we make a black one too, and I primer those in black. And then the chartreuse colors are primered with the chartreuse now.
Because I don't know, like, so I'm a little bit torn because like sometimes like baits when they start to wear, that's how I know they're good ones, right? Like,
Yeah,
I've thrown it a lot, I've caught a lot of fish. You got like that's kind of how I know a good bait. So it'll be interesting to use these more. I mean, that the durability is great, obviously, and that's awesome. So, and do you hand paint all these? You airbrush them? What's that process?
Yeah, airbrush all of them.
Okay. So you feel like
yeah. I mean,
what's that?
I help with the wires.
Yeah, Sarah's job is to mend all the wires and everything in them. We made up.
She hand bends the harnesses.
Yep. Yeah, she does all the harnesses that go inside of the baits. She also helps on the bills whenever we're putting all the bills in the bait when we epoxy them in. Sit down and both of us go through and put about 50 bills on the baits at once.
Throw on some Netflix and do bills and
Netflix and bills.
Yep.
That's kind of like Netflix and chill, but a little different.
Yeah, a little bit different.
Yeah.
Brian Waterman wants to know, how many baits do you make a month?
Just kind of depends. We're still kind of right now, to be honest with you.
What's your range? Like, what's typical? Like,
I try to get about 40 or so a month done right now.
Okay.
Like I said, we're still pretty new to this. Just, a lot of people haven't found us just yet, so we don't have a whole lot of big orders or something like that coming in. So I don't have to try to get out there and knock out 300-400 baits in a month, but I do think that's probably possible.
Okay. So I guess we got to skip over that. How long? I guess when did you start selling the original Whitty? Like your first one? Like when did that become available online at Whitty Outdoors or wherever you?
Yeah, we licensed the business in April of 2018.
Okay.
So
so you're basically just
our third year. We're 2 years in.
Yep. Okay. Cool.
We're going on year 3 right now. So.
Do you only sell them through your website, or do you have any dealers? Is there anywhere else people can buy them, or?
We sell them mainly through our website, but we do have a couple of shops around here that have them. We have Fisherman's Headquarters in Dayton, Ohio. He carries them. And then also getting jiggy with it over close to Summit Lake in Indiana. He carries them there too. That's the
kind of
out in. We're working on getting into some more places.
Pulling up the website here. So you can't get them at Tackle Warehouse just yet. So you basically got 3 models, right? You have your original Whitty, which is kind of a pretty close to a 1.5 as far as like size and depth. It's a little smaller, but I mean, like for people's reference. And then you've got your flat size, which is basically the same silhouette, right?
Yep, same shape.
And then you have the Whitty -1. Is that a different body, or is that the same body with a different?
Still all the same body right now. The -1 is the same body as the Whitty. It's just a different bill angle and a different bill. That way it only dives about a foot to maybe 18 inches deep.
Let's look at the.
We're working on a few more.
I need to see colors.
Yeah, they're in the details.
So,
and then
you do 9 colors?
We have more now. I think we're up to 12.
Because I say I have a bluegill. So
yeah.
All right, so there's all of them. You guys can kind of pull that up, and I guess it'll kind of scroll through there. We can just kind of let that scroll through while we chat here. So
yeah, the one I don't have up there just yet, and I'm working on fully redesigning the website and putting an actual online store and everything, storefront on there. But I don't have the hot crawl on the Whitty there. But you can see that paint job on Whitty Flat 6. But it's kind of an orange and red crawl pattern.
Okay, so it's is it like a fire, like a Rayburn red? Is that kind of like the hot craw, or is it a little different? So is that kind of...
Actually, it's just like we had the red crawl go across the screen there, and it's the same colors and everything, except for with the belly of it orange and a little bit of orange fading up the sides.
Okay, cool.
So it's kind of that brighter kind of
a favorite. springtime favorite.
Yeah. Lava Crawl. I've seen kind of some other paint jobs that are close to it that's been that name.
Yeah, so Brian Waterman wants to ask what kind of hooks they come with. And I think I know, but I'll go ahead and let you tell him.
Yeah, we use the Mustad KVD triple grips. I've liked them hooks for a long time. I've replaced plenty of baits throughout the years with those hooks, and I've always been very happy with them.
Yeah, I think for Squarebills, like I think that's like very popular, right? I mean, so it does have the KVD Mustad EWG hooks, which I think you can't go wrong with those. There's the bluegill color. People can see it in kind of a 3D. This is one that I definitely had to have for Minnesota because we do, we have a ton of bluegills. We don't have a lot of shad here, and I just thought that looked great, and I thought that would be legit up here.
Yeah, we use a 4 and a 6.
Yeah, so Brad slid into my DMs over the winter, I think. Actually, probably was like back in October. And he offered me one. I was like, well, I can't pick this one, so I'm going to buy one. So I got a bluegill and a spring craw. Yeah, so is that the hot craw you were talking about?
Yeah, that's the hot craw. It's not showing up too well there, but
I found myself wanting to buy at that time, and I didn't because I was like going into winter, and I was like, I wanted to like have half of them in multiples, like so I wanted like a dozen, but I restrained myself for the time being. I was like, I should probably fish these before I just order like a dozen of them. So I do lunkers and lures. I do get that black and blue does look juicy. Brian Waterman wants to know how much, like, what is the length and what do they weigh?
Yeah, the length is right at 2 1/8 inches. And then the weight is right at 3/8 of an ounce.
I'm going to pull
That's
out
with all the hardware and everything on them. So it's about the same.
A KVD, and I'll hold them up because I think most people know what a KVD 2.5 looks like.
Yeah.
Or 1.5, or KVD 1.5, I guess. And just so people can kind of see what that. I gotta get my spin them here. So they're pretty similar. Like I would say, you're just a touch shorter, a little bit wider, especially in the head.
Yep.
Similar bill angles, a little bit wider bill. You've definitely got the circuit board, right? I think that's a circuit board, right?
Yeah.
Lip. And then you got a little bit wider, so I think that's going to help the bait kick a little more off stuff.
It helps with the deflection.
That's what I was saying. Deflection. You're gonna be able to roll around things a little better with that kind of more wide, in my opinion. So
Sarah kind of didn't like it whenever I was doing the first round of testing because I fished for a long time. I've thrown crankbaits, I know how to kind of work crankbaits through laydowns and everything.
Right.
Whenever I got with kind of the what was close to the final design of it, I put it on Sarah's rod. And as we was down in the higher river, she started throwing it in all kinds of laydowns and everything. And she didn't really know how to work a crankbait through the laydowns yet. So she just kind of whined and it kept coming through.
I was the guinea pig.
Yeah.
I got yelled at for that about 3 months later when I told a buddy. She's like, "You was using me as a guinea pig this time?" I was like, "Yeah." I said, "I can't trust some of my buddies that kind of know the tricks of getting a crankbait through stuff." So I said, "What a better guinea pig."
Yeah, this is awesome. So I would say, like, I know what you're talking about. I would not say I'm a squarebill shallow cranking expert, but I've done a little bit of it. And I found it come through stuff really well. Like I haven't hung it, I don't think, a single time. So I've been impressed so far. For those people watching, make sure you guys are hitting that like button. And if you got buddies, make sure to share because like there's some good juice being shared here. So make sure you guys hit that like button if you can. So Lunkers and Lures asked a pretty pertinent question here. How much do they sell for?
We sell them for $22 a piece for the Whitty and the Whitty -1, and then it's $22.50 for the Whitty flat 6.
So that's, I mean, like that sounds expensive. Like when you're like, if you're used to buying Strike King Squarebills and right, like crankbaits at Walmart and places like that. But if you really think about, your market is really more custom balsa, right? Like you should be compared against PH, Black Label, all these guys that do. I mean, these are all hand assembled, hand painted, hand clear coated.
Yeah.
Like you said, it takes a month from beginning to start. So these are a labor of love. These are not mass produced baits by any means.
I mean, per bait, when we broke it down, I think it's close to about hour and 15 minutes, hour and a half per individual bait to get one made. So yeah, it just takes a lot of time involved.
Chad Edding says there's an order going in tonight. So
all right.
Awesome.
Yeah, we even hand tune every one of them. We got a little pond out back, luckily. So, whenever I get a batch of them done, go back to the pond and make sure every one of them's running straight before we package them up and get ready to sell.
So not tank tested, but pond tested.
Pond tested, yep.
Which you do learn a lot more, like on a cast, than you can in like a 3-foot tank. Like a lot of things will pull straight and look really good
when you only have 3 foot of line out.
Right. That's
when you only have 3 foot of line out, they all run pretty daggone straight. When you make a cast, you can definitely tell if they're tuned straight or not.
Are there any fish in this pond?
Tons of bluegill. I need to get rid of more of them.
Okay.
I actually ran into an issue this winter where I couldn't test my flat side bait because I kept hitting too many of the bluegill in the pond, and I couldn't tell if the bait was actually not running right or if it was just hitting bluegill and couldn't get squared back away.
Nice. That's awesome.
The problem is we're all too little.
Right.
They're all little bitty ones.
So they're not quite big enough to choke a squarebill quite yet.
No, they're not. I've got to.
So obviously, do you throw what are your? I mean, obviously, you probably throw other crankbaits besides your own. I'm guessing because you. But like, where do you feel? Yeah, where do you feel like your 3 baits? Like, can you kind of tell us where you feel their sweet spot is? Where you think they excel? Maybe like where their limitations are. Like, just give us kind of the run through. Like, I mean, you know them as better than anybody. So what?
I mean, the one that we started with is the regular Whitty, which is that squarebill crankbait. It's good with anything down to about 4 feet is about the max depth that they'll reach with 12-pound fluorocarbon. I'll throw them when we fish the Ohio River. I'll even throw them on the Ohio River, but I'll bump up my line size to 17, even 20-pound mono to keep the bait from diving. Just because a lot of times when we're fishing the Ohio River, we're fishing 2 foot of water and less. So I don't want that bait digging around in kind of all of the silted in areas that we fish in the Ohio River. And then I'll take that same bait and I'll throw it in one of our smaller rivers around here a lot, grind and gravel bars and stuff like that for smallmouth down in that 3.5, 4 foot range. It's great around weeds. It comes through those really well. It has a hard thump and vibration to it. A little bit more aggressive than what a lot of other crankbaits out there around that same size are. So really the squarebill Whitty is good really in any kind of cover I want to try to fish down to about 4 feet deep. That's kind of its limitation. And then the Whitty -1, that's when you're wanting to wake over the top of those shallow flats. Your weed beds and everything where that submerged vegetation is, and you don't want it getting down into it. I use a lot on the Ohio River fishing really shallow laydowns. Maybe the fish might not eat a buzzbait. That day they'll smoke a wake bait. Ran into that numerous times. Had a day on the local river here where we got a lot of smallmouth, and we fish in our jet drive where we started catching some with a wake bait. My buddy wanted to throw a whopper plopper, and I put about 5 fish in the boat before he couldn't even get a bite on that whopper plopper. So he's like, "Hey, you got another one of those? I know you've been working on that one." So I gave him another -1, our Whitty -1, and we just absolutely hammered smallmouth that day, fishing around weed lines and stuff like that. And those fish are just coming up and smoking it. And then
I could imagine up here the -1 being like where we would use a -1, right, would be like one over shallow wing dams for smallies on the Mississippi River.
Yeah.
And then over the tops of grass beds that you can't quite get like a lipless over because it's like so close to being topped out. Like I've done really well on like -1s up on like the Gull Lake and Mahamadou and some of those places, and just burning that 1- or -1 over the top of grass. Kind of like same thing you do with the lipless crankbait, but where it's too shallow. There's not enough gap for that.
Yep, I've had a couple of really good days on the Ohio River last year when I was testing our -1. We had a little big bass tournament actually here in this section of the Ohio River, and I caught one of the big bass of the hours on that -1, and about a 3-pounder on the Ohio River, which was a pretty good one, and took that out. So,
in river systems and reservoirs in the fall, September, October, them fish will get so freaking shallow. You'd swear their backs are out of the water. And a crankbait like that is exactly what you need when they won't hit a topwater, but they're up there pushing bait. That's the kind of bait that is ideal, I think.
On our area of the Ohio River, they're always there. I don't get more than about 2 foot deep very often. So if my motor's not blowing mud, I'm time to become shallower.
Nice. And so then your newest one is flat, right? That's the newest bait?
Yeah, the flat side we came out with this winter too. I've been working on that one. That was over a year in the makings to get that one right. I just, couldn't get the bill angle, couldn't get the bill shape right, and the weighting in it has to be just perfect. Just there's a lot less material there to float, and I wanted that one to have enough weight to still be able to cast it good. And that flat-sided bait weighs the same as our regular Whitty crankbait, even though it has a lot less material there. But it was just kind of fine-tuning on that one. That one's great. It gets about 6-7 foot deep.
Nice.
So, anytime you're wanting to get down fishing those gravel bars or something like that, down into that 7 foot of water, for that. It's really good. Early season, everyone likes to throw a flat-sided bait. If you're throwing, a lot of the Rapala DT6s or something like that, it fits right in that range. I don't think you're going to knock the bill off of them as much as you might those other ones.
So a lot of people think flat sides are only for cold water, but I think they excel in cold water and then the hottest water. I think they're both really good at.
Yeah, I love fishing them here again on a little local river we have when our smallmouth get down into that 5-6 foot of water and some of the little bit deeper gravel bars and the eddy breaks and stuff like that and those eddies. And I'll throw that flat side down there just that I can get down to the depth that they're hanging at.
Nice. I definitely feel like I need some of those because I love throwing a DT6, and it would be nice to show them something a little bit different at the same time. I think that would be interesting to see because the DT6 is an amazing grass crankbait. So I'd love to see how yours does in the grass.
I haven't got to test them in the grass very much. We don't have much of it around here. So I found a little bit and fished them through a little bit, but it really hasn't been very much.
So Sycamore Outdoors wants to know, did you go with the deep thud because of the stained river water? He actually prefers that. Was that like were you trying to do that, or was that just something like a happy circumstance of the design?
I wanted a one knocker, and the material was what made it that deep thud. I was really happy with it because I could make it louder if I wanted to, but it would be more work to kind of get it there. But I really like it's a little bit of noise, but it isn't a ton of extra noise. I kind of like that in between sound there.
Yeah, absolutely. What is the ball, like a lead or a steel, or what is that?
It's tungsten.
It's tungsten? Okay.
Yep.
So another reason why this bait may cost $22. You have high quality, like the materials. So yeah, I mean, like you're putting high dollar mustad hooks, right? You've got a tungsten ball. You're using premium material. You've got a circuit board lip. It's custom painted. Solid O-ring on the front of it. Have you ever thought about oval O-rings, or what are your thoughts on oval versus round? You probably get asked that. I don't know.
I can't find good oval ones in bulk yet.
Okay.
I really want to try some of the teardrop shaped ones too, because I've used those in the past. But I haven't been able to find them in bulk yet.
Like the decoy egg snaps or whatever.
What's that?
Like the decoy egg snaps, those kind of
Yeah, VMC makes some. They're like a teardrop shape.
I just ordered some from an
I
online.
think Owner makes some also.
These are much bigger than you use on yours, but like that shape.
Oh no, I'm actually thinking they make some that are like an actual teardrop shape. It's an actual split ring still, but instead of the oval, it's kind of a teardrop shape.
All
So
right, okay.
kind of a bigger, you get kind of a bigger bend at the bottom.
Not a clip tail. Got it. Makes sense.
And then when your line tie is, it's a little bit, a little bit tighter there, so your line would always stay in that same position. But with the larger oval at the bottom, it kind of gives you that same advantage of a big split ring. It gives that bait freedom of movement at that connection.
So you kind of get like a clip action with a oval split ring.
Yeah, something similar.
Yeah. Okay. So do your baits have the oval or the teardrop?
Mine do not yet.
Okay, so I mean, like, so you still use the rounds?
I still use the rounds. Yeah,
okay.
I haven't changed anything on mine. I I get some of the scraps where I messed up the paint, and I'll go ahead and I'll keep them for myself. Ones that I don't feel good painting, or trying to sell to someone else. So any of the mistakes are the ones that I get to keep.
Lunkers and lures. Give us 3 of your colors you think work the best on the Ohio River.
Let's see.
Your 3 favorites. You fished all the time on the Ohio, right? So what's your 3 best?
I've got a couple of them. Well, I've got one here. I've got 2, I guess, if I can get them out.
I don't know if you're not seeing anybody else's or okay.
Got the.
So that's kind of like your take on Sexy Shad, right?
Yep. Yeah, we call that one Sarah Shad, so that one was named for her. Figured that was fitting, That one's always good.
That's my favorite, not just because it has my name in it, but like that's my favorite.
She has one of these that is almost worn out. It has worn all the paint off around here. It's got dents, dings, and everything else in it. That's the one I wished I never would have clear coated again and just kept using it.
Nice.
Show people how much damage they can actually take and still work fine.
Yeah.
Another good one on the Ohio River, right after the spawn and going into the spawn, kind of right now, this time frame. Bluegill color is really good. After that, I got one right here. Since the Ohio River is known for muddy water, chartreuse and black.
Right. Can't go wrong with that. Sure.
Can't go wrong with that. It's got an extra hook hanging there. I didn't even notice that one, but there you go. Yeah, the chartreuse and black's always a good option. Any type of dirty water river, the Ohio River, a lot of times you're looking at less than a foot of visibility. So until you get into summertime, that chartreuse and black's really good.
Right. Nice. So do you get any requests for these without hooks? Because people like to put their own hooks on them or anything like that? Or
I haven't yet, no. Everyone's always people do have their own preference. They've just bought them, I guess, and switched them out without telling me.
So I've kind of always wondered, I know it's kind of a niche market, so I kind of understand it why maybe like somebody like Strike King or like Pratco doesn't do it. But I think there's a lot of guys that buy baits and they automatically switch to their favorite hook, whether it be Gami round beds or whatever, right? Like they all have their favorites. So could be an idea for like if you wanted to offer it at a price point, if you knew people were, I wouldn't throw away mustache triple grips, but if people are, it's like it could be a way to, maybe make it more affordable if they're going to do that, or maybe there's an option, or obviously it would save you labor of attaching hooks, but
yeah.
So just a thought.
I haven't thought about it yet, to be honest with you.
So
might be something to do later on.
Yeah. Are there any? So you got any other plans for new shapes, new baits, new bodies?
Yeah, I would like to make something in our round body, something similar, a little bit bigger and a little bit deeper diving. Kind of something like that I would like to do. Kind of been thinking about making a popper even. I'm not sure if I want to go down that road yet or not. kind of want to try it just to try it, but I don't know where it's going to go yet. And I would like to make a bigger version of our Whitty, something closer to that 2.5 range, but a little bit smaller.
Right.
And I'll probably end up slimming down the body a little bit on that one too, just because that would be a pretty fat crankbait if you scaled it up to that 2.5 size.
And very buoyant.
Very. It would take a lot of tungsten.
Nice.
Have to get creative on the weighting.
For sure. Are you working on any new colors, or like you have any requests for anything unique? Or I mean, obviously you pretty much cover most of the standard stuff. Is there any like special requests?
I tried to start with the staples. Actually, yeah, I got one right here from one of my buddies that one that he wanted painted. I didn't even have a chance to cut it off my rod before I came in here today, but you would like that rod too, by the way, because it's one of the Dobbins, but kind of a green pumpkin with a chartreuse tail, a little bit of brown on the belly.
Nice.
But I'm probably going to try to work with something like that and make a new crawl pattern from it.
So because of your like heavy clear corp, you don't really have could you sell unpainted blanks to people that wanted to custom paint their own, or would that not really work with your process?
Since I put the bills in last, I really wouldn't want to. And I don't sell them without tuning them either. I had a guy down at the East Tennessee show asking me about that. And so far, I don't think I want to go down that route yet. Get to, in a year or two from now, who knows?
Right.
Yeah, someone's right there about baby Whitty coming here in August.
I was saving that question. I was heard that you were working on a new special baby Whitty.
Sarah could show up and show the progress on that model right now, but yeah,
we're working on making.
We're due with our first in August.
Yeah, that's awesome. Congratulations. That definitely changes things. So, but it's cool. My kids have been running around out in the yard doing all kinds of crazy things. They're 9 and 12. So, so I guess let's talk about that. Like, I've not thrown this a ton, but so far I found that my Dobbins 704 crankbait rod is what I feel works really good for the original Whitty. And I think I've been throwing in like 12 or 15 pound tests for what I've done so far. What do you like? What's your setup for your rods, or what do you like to do, or what do you think is the best fit? Obviously, you
actually, I kind of agree with the Dobbins deal right now. That's what I was had this rod on here today. I think this
was not planned, by the way.
No, it was not. Now this one's the 684 crankbait, so it's the 6'8". I love that.
I got that rod. I like that more for like shad wraps and like some of the smaller flat sides, like the EMA shaker. Some of those light. I feel like that's really good with those light baits. I mean, it would work fine, but that's what I use that rod more for. But I can see it'd be good there.
I like it because I do a lot of really short cast target fishing when I'm doing it. Down the Ohio River, when I use that, I keep that rod set up in my Stratus for fishing the Ohio River all the time. I got it rigged up with, I think that one's got 14-pound fluorocarbon on it right now. Just again, for the Ohio River, I don't need to get it down to maximum depth. I'd rather keep it up higher. And then whenever I switch and I'm fishing more of the gravel flats where I want to get deeper, I switch to a 7-foot rod. Kind of a medium heavy 7-foot rod with 12-pound fluorocarbon on it.
So what gear ratios do you like for your shallow cranking?
I like 6'3". I have a hard time slowing down. So whenever I try to fish with the 7.3 and faster reels, I just can't slow myself down enough. So that's kind of my problem.
I'd say that's what most of my crank rods are in that 6 range for sure. So I mean, a lot of people I know, like for Squarebills, they think speed kills and they really like to burn it. So obviously that kind of depends on where you fish and how you like to fish them. You definitely could bump up to that 7 if that's your deal, and that's what the fish like where you live. So
if you're fishing in front of the boat, the 7 is great. If you're making casts more perpendicular, coming down laydowns and stuff that are sticking straight out the bank, I have an issue slowing down enough with it. So I kind of stick with the 6-to-1 ratios is kind of my sweet spot.
So you're saying that more from a co-angler perspective, back of the boat, or?
It just kind of depends upon how you fish. I still fish a lot fairly perpendicular to the boat, just for the way a lot of laydowns and stuff position. But if you're kind of burning down more of the riprap banks and you're casting straight in front of you and paralleling, then the 7s work pretty good, I think. But if I'm trying to throw perpendicular to the boat with a 7-to-1, I can't slow myself down enough. I end up reeling it probably a little bit too quick.
I would say that like the little bit I've thrown this one, I do feel like you do need to get a decent pace with it because it is so buoyant. Like if you try to crawl this, it's not gonna get any depth at all. Like you could almost use this as a wake bait. It's so buoyant.
You can. It's kind of tough. I've tried before.
You have to go too slow, but like you can't really crawl. You got to kind of get those couple cranks in to get it.
You got to get a little bit of. Yeah, whenever you try to get it to max depth, you kind of want to crank it a few times pretty quick, and then you can slow down a little bit, and it'll kind of stay there. I do that when I'm fishing river smallmouth for it or fishing riprap when I'm trying to get down there that 3.5, 4 foot for the most of the cast. A few quick cranks, 4 or 5 cranks pretty quick will help get it down deeper. And then you can kind of keep it there.
Kyle wants to know what did he miss? So you missed a ton. You're definitely gonna have to watch the replay. We covered a lot of good ground. So, you have any good stories of like, I don't know, cool things, catches, co-angler stories, out fishing guys in the back or the front, or just like neat things you've seen with your baits, or just anything I guess just that comes to mind?
Man, I've had a lot of guys tell me that they have been liking them a lot. Get a lot of pictures sent to me, with the baits just absolutely choked down. Not a ton just yet. Probably the best was that day with the wake bait when my buddy and I was out in our jet drive, and we caught a couple fish waking a spinnerbait first, and then I switched over to that prototype -1 that I was working on, and he switched to a whopper plopper, and I put 5 fish in the boat before he couldn't even get a bite on it. So we switched over, and he switched to the -1 also that day, and we had our best day that we've ever had on that river. Fishing those baits, we caught 60+ fish that day.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, it was about this time last year. I'm itching to get back on the river. If we get a little warm front, the smallmouth ought to be up shallow, and when they start guarding those beds up shallow in our river system, they will smoke that -1 bait coming over their heads.
Nice. What's the best color for river smallmouth?
River smallmouth, my favorite, and I got one here, I think. Nope, where's that? Thought I had it sitting right here. Oh, yeah. The chartreuse and white. Chartreuse back and white belly.
I believe that. That's like the best swim jig color on the river for smallies, so it makes sense.
I caught one over 4.5 last year on our local river, which is the Great Miami. So far, the biggest bass I've caught on our crankbait, but a little over 4.5. That's a really big one for around here. We get a lot of 3-pounders is pretty close to the top of the line a lot of times. And I'm
like in tournaments by you, like a 3.5 pounder will win big fish a lot of times, right? Like
on the rivers, yes. Some you're going to be in the running,
right? Like I mean, it's
some lakes you're definitely in the running.
This is not the land of giants, so don't think this is indicative of these things don't catch big fish, because like this is not Texas. This is not Texas. This is not the Tennessee River. This is not even like New York or Minnesota, where like 5 and 6 pounders are probably more likely to happen than where you live. So
no, the closest good fishing we have where you get into that's up around Sandusky on Lake Erie, and that's about a 3-hour drive north for us. So
have you fished them on many of the lakes, or done much experimenting with that? Or
yeah, right before I launched it, I actually went up to Lake St. Clair with a buddy of mine, lives up in Toledo. Caught some nice ones on it that we wasn't even fishing shallow enough water that I thought it was going to do any good, to be honest with you.
Sure.
And one over 4 that day.
Well, the nice thing about smallies is you don't have to hit bottom.
Yeah, you don't have to be dredging bottom with them.
Right, like they like things above their head. So a lot of times, like even if you think when Seth was cranking in AOI last year, he wasn't hitting the bottom. A lot of times on Mille Lacs where we fish and other places, you know, you can throw a DT6 to a DT10 and you can be catching them out of 15, 20 feet of water. They'll come up and hit it. So Chad said he had a little bit of issue with the order page, so he submitted something for you to contact us. So that would just be a follow-up for you.
Yeah, we're kind of in the middle of updating our website, so we might have a glitch in there somewhere, but thanks for
thank you for the heads up. I know I got a couple emails there last week or the week before that someone was trying to order some baits I was out of at the time, but I haven't seen anything here recently with anyone having an issue.
We'll check that out, and we do have a new website coming out here soon. So
yeah, working on getting new photos and whenever we add the web store through the website, because right now we got it set up where you just got to email us and then we shoot you a PayPal invoice right now. But
sure.
Web store set up where you can pay right there on the page.
That's sometimes the bait making is the easy part of owning a small business.
Yeah, I'm learning a lot of other things that really isn't bait making related at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm learning to be a photographer and web designer and
As somebody that creates content and I also do some things with Bass Tech jigs on the side, I totally understand your pain of those types of things for sure.
I wasn't even thinking about getting into photography and marketing and all that stuff, which is it falls right in line with it. You know, if you don't have all that stuff set up looking good, then it's kind of hard.
So I would definitely, like, if you guys are unsure, but I definitely think it's worth jumping on your guys. So those Whitty Outdoors on Facebook and on Instagram, right? So definitely check those out, because even if you're not sure if this crankbait's for you, you guys, they're good looking baits. You guys post some cool stuff. Like obviously we showed that video earlier. So if you guys came in late, come back and watch the stream. I show a video where they hit their crankbait with a softball bat, aluminum softball bat, and then it still is in perfect condition and still runs. So make sure you come back and watch the replay to catch that. That's a cool clip. So I assume you guys will come up with more cool social stuff. So regardless if you end up buying baits, definitely jump on and join the social train, because I think there's some cool stuff coming. And I would expect there's going to be some good fish catches being posted as we get this warm weather here.
Yeah, I'm going to try to do some more videoing this year. I'm not very good about it. When I get out and start fishing, I kind of leave the cameras alone. I take them with me, but I don't set them up a lot of times. So I'm going to try to do some more of that where we can get some good video content on our website. Hopefully get some good fish catches this spring on the -1 where get some river smallmouth blowing up on it.
Everyone wants to get action too. We've got underwater action on the website also, so you can see how, it moves and stuff like that.
So probably the easiest way is just to buy one and try it yourself.
I like that idea. That's a great idea.
I was gonna say, so if you have any questions, like I do a fair amount of filming, and like, so if you want any ideas or how, like, because I've been through a lot of that, and I do understand that, like, you just want to get out and go fishing. It's hard to remember to want to like flip the GoPros on or put the chesty on, doing that kind of stuff. So we definitely could catch up offline. I could definitely give you some tips on like what I found that works. Brian wants to know if there's any bundle packages, or like, do you have any like where you can get a kit, or there's any discount codes, or?
Not right now. I'm kind of working on it. That's going to be one of my plans with the new website. We'll probably do a couple of discount codes with some websites. I'm a member on Bass Boat Central. If anyone gets on there, I'm on there quite a bit. It's just Whitaker 201 on there. I'm planning on trying to get with a couple other fishing forums and maybe doing some discount codes and stuff with them when I can. But
sure.
Kind of waiting on the new website before I can make too many more changes.
It might be kind of cool to put together like a Northeast starter kit, Midwest starter kit, West or something, or River starter kit, or like that might be kind of fun just to give people like, maybe if, whatever, like if they buy, 5 for $100 versus the 110 it would be, or something like that. there with free shipping, or that might be kind of cool just to get people. Maybe they don't know what would be good for their area. That could be kind of, you may not sell a ton, but it'd be a nice option for people for sure.
Yeah, I was talking with a few people at some of the fishing shows that we did here over the winter, and that's something that we do want to kind of put together and figure out what kind of bundle we want to do and stuff like that.
So you do a few shows. Like, what shows do you do for people that maybe live close to you? Which ones, like, where should they watch for you at shows, or what shows do you plan on doing this year and next year, or what do you kind of?
This year we've already signed up for the Cincinnati Fishing Expo again. We was there last year. Last year was its first year. It's the same guy that runs the Columbus Fishing Expo here in Ohio. And we're kind of looking around. We're not sure on what other ones we're going to do just yet. I do believe we're going to do the Tri-State Fishing and Outdoor Expo, which is here around northern Cincinnati. So it's here close to home. Last year we did East Tennessee. We did the big East Tennessee fishing show,
which is a big one, right? Like,
yeah, it was a really big one. I never went down there. Probably should have beforehand, but yeah, it was a very big, impressive show.
So, do you think you wouldn't do that one again, or you would, or?
I don't know if we're going to with the new baby on the way this year.
Right.
So we got a few things just kind of hanging, trying to figure out what we want to do.
You need an intern to go and help you work the show.
Yeah.
If there's anybody out there that would like an unpaid internship to help sell baits, contact them at Whitty Outdoors.
Yep, hit us up on Facebook, Instagram. But we're looking around right now. We're again with a new baby on the way. We're not sure how much travel we want to do this year. We might just stay kind of local here in the Cincinnati, maybe Columbus area. There's one not too far over in Indianapolis. Indianapolis isn't too far away from us.
Right.
But right now we're not really sure yet. But we have signed up for the Cincinnati Fishing Expo right now.
Do you run any specials at the show? Or are they?
Yeah, we normally do about it's a little bit over 10% off.
Yeah, sure. Depends how much cash you have.
Yeah.
We run sales throughout the year too, periodically, like holidays.
Sure.
Stuff like that too, so.
Nice. So definitely watch. I mean, if you're thinking about it, definitely follow on their socials, right? Because that way, if you're going to save a buck or two or whatever, you'll be the first to know.
Yeah, we definitely put those out on our social media stuff whenever we do it.
Nice. Kyle Mollett says the indie show is a pretty good one. So
that's what I've heard. That's what I heard. I haven't been over there just yet. I've been hearing some good things about it too. Also, Columbus show, Columbus, Ohio. We went over and visited it, walked around a little bit this year. That is a really big show. And it's only about an hour and a half or so away from us, so it's not too bad.
Somebody want to know one of the dates of the Cincinnati typically.
It is in January this year. I'm trying to pull up my calendar here, and I can tell you actually. I want to think it's about the second week in January. They are set up for. Oh, I didn't put it in my phone yet. Cincinnati show is going to be January 8th through the 10th this year.
Okay, right after the new year.
Yep.
Well, Brian Waterman's know. Do you guys do custom colors? Is that something you'd entertain if somebody sent you a picture of a bait? Like, would you do that, or is that like?
If you request, it kind of depends upon the color and everything, and if I'm going to have to make stencils and everything for it. Just because to do the details and everything, I do make up my own stencils. So it kind of just depends upon what you're looking for. But we could.
Okay. How many baits are you going to buy? How complicated it is, right? Yeah, if it looks like a Tacklecraft HD gill, probably not.
No, I'm not that good yet with an airbrush.
If you just wanted a different color back on the spring, or something like that. Chartreuse purple back instead of chartreuse blue back, probably, right? So
exactly. Like I said, just send me the color and we can kind of talk about it and figure it out. That the color I showed you there a little bit ago, this kind of green pumpkin and with the chartreuse tail. That's a little custom color that my buddy wanted.
Right.
He only lives about 10 minutes away from me, so it was easy to kind of work out the details with him.
Sure. So like, yeah, maybe it's like the old school colors, right? Like
Yeah.
the old school Bagley balsa colors, like you'll probably take a good crack at it. But yeah, if you're looking for something super intricate, right? Like, okay. So Tom said, I may have missed it earlier, but do you have any, how many baits he has turned out for sale already? So how, like what total, you know how many baits, do you keep track of like how many total baits you've sold?
Yeah, we have. I think we're close to about 400 now, I think, in 2 years. So not too bad for kind of getting started. And, you know, the rough part is trying to get your name out there and getting people to try them for the first time, because a lot of our customers, after they've bought one, they've came back and bought, you know, 4 or 5. We've customers. I think he's bought about 9 or 10 by now.
Nice.
After getting one.
And it's like once you get them in their hands, they love them and they want to buy more. So it's kind of like, you know, getting our name out, which we appreciate you having us on, and because once people get them, they love them. So
yeah, and I think they're so darn durable that like you're, you know, like, and you don't lose a lot of Squarebills, right? So like,
I don't.
I mean, like, because you're gonna, if you hung it, I mean, they don't hang very easily because they're pretty darn buoyant and they deflect well. They come through cover. If you do somehow hang it, snag it in a rope, get it wedged, right, it's probably going to be in 3 feet of water or less, maybe 4 feet. So it means you can probably reach it with your rod tip. And if you really like, it's probably deep enough you can just strip down to your shorts and jump in and grab it. Like, if $20 is a big deal to you, like you can probably get it back. So this isn't like a custom painted, you know, 20-foot crankbait where if you hung it on a ledge, unless you have a good plug knocker, you're probably stuck. So that's the great thing. Like, I have less of a problem investing in a quality Squarebill because they're super durable. You know, it's not going to crack. It's not wood. It can't, like, you know, the bill's not going to snap off. If I do hang it, I probably will get it back 95% of the time. It's not like, you know, so maybe, yeah, Piker and Muskie's going to get you, but that's going to happen. But like, even like a deep running jerkbait, like a mega bass or something like that, you hang that deep in a rope, you might not get it back. But these are, you know, you're probably not going to lose many of these. So really, if you think about their durability versus what you get, it's actually a pretty solid value.
Yeah, and I mean, I always carry a lure retriever with me. I use one of the pole ones.
Because you're only fishing 2 feet of water, so it's easy to use the pole.
Yeah, exactly. Again, like recently, 2 weeks ago, I got hung up on an old shirt that was stuck on the bottom in our local river. You can't knock that one off with your rod, because I tried. I couldn't pull it up because it was wedged in the rocks. I took that pole down there and kind of screwed it and got it hung into the shirt and just pulled the whole thing up. Got my crankbait. So
nice.
And then also on the durability there, as I was testing out my prototypes for the flat-sided bait, I had 2 of these at the time, and I was making roll casts up underneath some brush and everything, and I made the roll cast and cracked it on the head of the trolling motor, and I just got sick at the moment. All that happened is you can see that dent right there on the belly. Right there on the belly, I put a dent in it instead of breaking the lure in half. Still use the lure to this day. Caught a few more fish on it that day after I put the thing in it. But
is the trolling motor okay though? That's probably the question. Is the trolling motor? I'm concerned that, like, I'm just going to take the paint off my cowling, or I'll crack my windshield before the crankbait makes. So. Have you had anybody break one yet? Any of the few hundred baits you've sold?
Not
that you know of, or
I know one guy that did break the bill out of one, and he told me he was abusing it to see how much it could actually take. He said he was trying to push it to the limits, and he got tired of he was fishing a lot of shallow weeds with the Whitty fat, you know, Squarebill one. And he was absolutely drilling it against the water all day, he said, for a few days in a row. And finally the bill came out.
I think, and a lot of people do it wrong. Like, if you want to clear weed, you don't want to smack it straight down. Yeah. You want to just like whip it so that the weeds catch and the trebles catch in the water, and then it like rips free. It's not slap it straight down. Like that's where a lot of people make their mistake. Because I hear people say that they break DT6s all the time, and you can break a DT6 bill. But if you correctly try to slap the weeds off, like trying to hit it and graze the water, it's pretty unlikely. And although the old bombers, I used to crank with those a little bit, those would break pretty easy. But yeah,
I'll tell you this: we broke 2 during the shows this year. But what we was doing was we took a wooden dowel rod and tied about an 18-inch section of braided line on it, and we was hitting the square bill against our table in the booth.
Good.
And would it be just that the bill would break, or was that, or would the body?
The first one, the bill caught wrong and it snapped the nose of the bait. It was still in good shape. It was just cracked. And then the other one I blew it up.
Nice.
I was abusing it by literally hitting it against a table though, for 4 days in a row. So
if you bang it off enough bridges over time, you might break one.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've hit a lot of bridges. I don't know.
When you hit the bridge, it's more of a glancing blow and not straight into it.
Right. So if you hit it square enough, you're probably going to be more worried about that backlash you have than what the crankbait.
Exactly. You're going to be respooling before you worry about the bait.
Well, we got about 10 minutes left. Is anybody else in the chat? We got like 20 viewers. Any other questions that we didn't cover that you really want to know? Let's get those out there. We maybe should have asked for more questions. While we're looking, is there anything else, I guess, outside of Facebook and Instagram and WhittyOutdoors.com? Is like that all the best places?
That's all we got right now. Haven't got into any of the other social media outlets just yet. So, but yeah, Facebook, Instagram, and WhittyOutdoors.com.
Sarah's not running a TikTok yet?
No, not yet.
Not yet. I got to get on that.
So I've mainly thrown the spring cross so far on the river. And so this weekend I'm going to be fishing a lake. So I'm going to probably water test the bluegill for the first time. So, and it should be, I don't know, I haven't been out, but I would expect that they're going to be right on the verge of spawn around here. So, and should be some grass coming up. So it should be interesting to see how it works. Sycamore is asking again, any other designs coming up? You kind of touched on that back, but why don't you just kind of retouch on that?
Yeah. I'm going to try to get another body that's going to be very similar to the Whitty and get a deeper running version of it. That's kind of probably the first thing I'm going to do. And then after that, I would like to go to kind of that 2.5 size, maybe slightly under the standard 2.5 size crankbaits out there. Just a little bit bigger square bill there.
Like a 2.0, 2.2, 2.0.
Yeah, maybe like 2 1/4. I don't know yet.
Like a 2.22, make it like a 2.22, like something catchy.
We might go with a 223. I mean, we kind of do
like a caliber. Yeah,
223. Yeah,
it'll be a good rodent bait. A good rodent.
Yeah,
bait.
that's right.
Yeah, I guess you always I don't know. We kind of touched on it, but there is a signature on the bottom of them all, right? So I don't know if we touched on that.
Yeah, on the square bill, I signed the belly, and then the -1s, I've been signing the back. That way it's a little bit easier to quickly distinguish which one it is.
Right. So unless you're really in tune with your bill angle, right?
Yeah. The bill angle's a little bit steeper for sure, and the bill's a little bit smaller. But I gave a couple to my uncle, and he was like, "Man, I couldn't tell which one was which." So as I started making the -1 a little bit more, I just started signing the back of them. That way you can see it, right there too. So if the signature's on the back, it's the -1, and then if it's on the belly, it's the standard Whitty. And then also the flat is on the belly of it.
Little easier. Kyle said, "How long did it take to design?" I think you said the first one was about a year before you really got it where you wanted it, right?
Yeah. Yeah, probably.
Leo just joined. He's a little late. He said maybe you could just run through the 3 actions again, or the 3 baits you have.
Yeah, the Whitty and the Whitty -1 both have a very wide wobbling action to them. I've had one of my buddies tell me it's almost got kind of the vibration of almost a bait.
And that's this bait.
Yeah. And then the flat 6 is definitely a tighter wiggle. on it.
And so there's, just to give you, it's a little bit shorter than a 1.5 KBD, but his is a little bit wider in the head, and a little bit different shape bill, right? So he's got a little bit wider angle, so it should roll over cover and deflect slightly better. So, and then the flat, you were saying, is a little bit deeper running crankbait.
Yeah, the flat goes about 5 to 7. So, you know, it's got a longer bill there on it. Still kept kind of a square bill shape to it, too. Fish a lot of gravel and stuff, so that really works around our area. So that was kind of the reason why I went with that. But yeah, that one's the same size and profile as the regular Whitty. It's just
it should run a pretty similar different depth to like a flat 75 6 cents, I would think, right? Your flat, a little bit deeper,
right there, kind of that 5 to 7.
Yeah, it's a little bit. I think it's like 5, 5-ish. So a little bit deeper than. But I've been impressed with this one so far. If you're looking for a bait for inspiration, look at that 6 cents flat 75 crush is a pretty good bait. If you're starting to look at, you know.
That does remind me. Maybe the next thing I come out with will be that flat-sided bait with a different bill angle and a different bill shape, go a little bit shallower. I've had a few buddies that's kind of looking for something that might go about 3 to 4 foot deep instead of around 5 to 7, and maybe a little bit wider bill on it to help. I might do a with that to kind of help with weeds and stuff. But
White Whale's asking, so yeah, it's got a tungsten ball in it. I don't know if you can hear that pretty well, but it's kind of a thud. It's a one knocker, but it's a muted one knocker. It's not a real high click. So there's a single tungsten ball in there that helps with the weight transfer and also gives it that subtle sound. So they cast pretty well. So they definitely cast better than most of the balsas I've thrown. I wouldn't say they're like, so I think pretty fair.
It is.
So you covered the weights earlier. What do they weigh?
Yeah, it's 3/8 of an ounce. So essentially it's the same weight as a Bandit 200.
Okay.
But a Bandit 200 on a scale, it weighs 3/8 of an ounce, and our bait weighs 3/8 of an ounce also. So if you can cast a Bandit 200, then you can cast the square bill without any issues. And the flat side weighs the same. Flat side weighs right at 3/8 of an ounce also.
So
it doesn't cast quite as good as your KBD 1.5 because they do weigh more, but it does cast better than the similar size balsa bait.
Right. So like there's the Bandit, right? Like that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
So for size compared, if you guys are Bandit fans, like it's actually pretty similar length to that Bandit.
It's just a hair longer.
Hair longer than the Bandit, hair shorter than the KBD, wider than both of them.
And a whole lot fatter.
Yeah. So I would assume like before you started making your own, you probably threw a ton of Bandits on the Ohio River, no?
Not the Ohio. I just fished so shallow.
Okay.
A lot of spinner baits. Like I said, I kind of made up my own spinner baits and stuff too. You know, I throw a lot of spinner baits down there before I could find the Squarebills that I really liked. There was a few handmaids around here that I would throw, but there wasn't too many of them that kind of did what I was looking for there. I threw the Bandit 200 a lot on our local river where we do a lot of smallmouth fishing out of our jet drive boat. Threw that bait a ton there.
Sure. So somebody did ask about a HellaBass discount code. So I think you said there is no discount code feature on your website, right? So
no, I don't have one set up yet.
So why not? Like, what you could probably do is if you want to order a couple baits and you watch it on the stream, maybe just mention when you send in your mention that you found on the stream, and then maybe you can help them out or do something. Or
I'll tell you what, let's do
something like that.
I'll do for 2 weeks here coming up. You put HellaBass 10. Whenever you put in your order, we'll do 10% off.
There you go.
We'll do it for the next 2 weeks.
And I'll make sure I put that in a comment. I'll pin it. I'll put it in the description.
Yeah.
When this goes live, there'll be descriptions. There'll be links to their Instagram, their Facebook, their website. All that stuff will be in there if you want to get that in the replay. That's awesome. You didn't have to do that. We didn't discuss that. That's super cool.
Yeah,
People like check them out because like I'm just starting to fish them a little bit, and I feel like you guys have a cool story. And I think it's great to get you guys a little bit of your U.S. business. You're a startup. You got a cool product. People should know about it. So hopefully, we've had a few dozen people come through the stream tonight. Hopefully, a few hundred will see the stream, or a few thousand over time, and that will lead to a little more exposure for you guys. But I'm going to stick to my promise that my wife that I was going to be done by about 9 o'clock. If you guys are watching streams tonight, the Baitman TV should be starting any minute right now. So if you're like in the mood to watch and you want more gear talk, more crankbaits, more tackle, jump over to the Baitman stream. That's going to be coming up. Super cool. I always love watching his stream. And I look forward to it. Someday we're going to see Epic Eric putting nail polish on your baits on one of the streams. That'll be good to see what he does with his custom color combinations. So
yeah, it's a few to him there a week or two ago.
Yeah. So thanks for coming on. This is awesome. I'm going to be doing these streams every Wednesday night, 7:39. We're going to change up guests. Next week is going to be Tin Horse Monty, who's another YouTuber out of the Illinois kind of Ozark area. So he probably fishes a lot. He could probably use some Whitties. Like he fishes a lot of water where they'd probably be good. So thank you for everybody. Make sure you hit that like button. If you're new here and you just jumped on this stream, subscribe. Lots more videos. I hopefully will catch a few fish on this crankbait this week because we're going to go fishing. Yeah, and our fish are dumb, so they should eat it. So,
hey, we can catch fish on the Ohio River with them. So,
yeah, that's the thing. Like these were born in literally the toughest place to catch fish in the country. So if they can catch fish on them, they should work anywhere.
That's right.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, we're gonna end it, and we'll see some of you guys on the Baitman stream in a little bit. Thank you, everybody.
See y'all.